Welcome back to the W number. I got a great show for you tonight. I'm going to tell my story of addiction from beginning to end, bro. The first time in my life that I'm ever going to do this, I'm going to reveal the demon that lived inside of me forever. Something that destroyed my life. It latched onto my soul, told me that I was going to be the dude that I would have no more anxiety ever again. I was going to have all these friends. It was going to allow me to move around, be comfortable with myself, and not have to fear the uncomfortable feeling that I had inside my soul, bro. Right? It lied to me. It whispered in my ear all these great things. I felt like I was on top of the world. Nothing could stop me. I was all the way up. But it was a lie. Because as soon as the addiction started to take over my life, it had me by the balls, and all the friends started to fall off. All the things I gained and thought I gained, all the things I had, the little things, my self dignity, my respect, the things that you can't live without. People always shit on the ego, but the ego is what keeps you going. It makes you feel a certain type of way, and without that, you're kind of lost. You feel lost. You feel detached. You start to isolate, and then slowly everything around you, all those lies that demon told you about your addiction, they start coming true. And they start coming to light. Like you start to realize that it's not like that, bro. Your anxiety is gonna be more. You're gonna have more problems than you ever had before, right? So I'm going to start with the what, where, why, how it all started, right? So when I was in prison on my first bid, I had I went in there, and I had when I was in county, and I started hearing all these stories about upstate and how there was mad drugs up there and you could get high. Like, people were just, drugs were rampant. They were very prevalent. And I started looking forward to it, thinking like, man, I hate the county. There's no drugs here. I can't do nothing while I'm here. It's just like I was living with myself. And that's the worst thing you could possibly do to me, is make me live with myself. Right. So I looked forward to it. I knew I was getting state bid. I had beat up a cop, and I was waiting trial on that. So when I actually got shipped upstate while I was still doing a county sentence, because I was wilding out, bro. Like I said, the worst thing you could do is make me live with me. And I was acting out in all kinds of ways. I was very violent. I was very reactive. I was the type of person that would blow up on anybody at any given time just for no fucking reason, right? And there was always a reason, but it wasn't good enough, bro. It wasn't something like I was trying to get my issue off. I was trying to live with that uncomfortable feeling inside of me the best way I knew how, which was to go full speed ahead, not focus, like don't think about anything. Just go, don't think, act, do, let your fucking emotions show. Don't let any of those feelings overtake your brain, because as soon as fear creeps in, it infects you. It makes it so that you can't think straight. You're not functioning correctly. Fear does funny things to men, and I've seen it happen to other people. They let the fear creep in, and they're not the same, right? And I couldn't let that happen to me. So what I did was I stopped listening to R&B. I stopped listening to all the music that I listened to on the streets, and I started to listen to metal, and I started listening to rock, things that I was not familiar with, that didn't make me have those same emotions, those same feelings that I had on the streets, because I didn't want to think about my girl. I didn't want to think about the life that I lost. I didn't want to think about my mother. I didn't want to think about my family and what they were doing in the home while I was sitting in a prison cell, or what people were doing on a Friday night and I was sitting in a prison cell, and I was in segregation, or wherever I was at the time inside of that prison, like living in a prison inside of a prison, because there's no worse prison than this prison right here. That prison is nothing compared to this prison. When you get into this thing right here, this dangerous fucking tool that you have sitting on top of your neck, man, I'm telling you, you could make a heaven or you could make a hell. I decided to create the worst hell you could possibly think of for myself, where I was ripping apart my arms, fighting anybody that I thought needed to be fought. And I didn't have any care for their well-being. I didn't have care for my well-being. I didn't have care for the time that I was going to catch when I beat up the COs. I didn't have time to think about that shit, because you want to know why? All I cared about was not thinking and not feeling. So as soon as I got the chance to, boom, I'm upstate. I started getting morphine pills and learning how to make booze. I started drinking like a fish. I'm going in, taking Xanaxes. Klonopins, because that's what they had up there for benzos. They used to give Klonopins, Adderall, and I was a master at deceiving those doctors. I made the doctors really believe that I was psychotic, dude, right? And you know, there was nobody stopping me from winning but myself, right? So I was my worst enemy, and I know everybody can relate to that shit. Like, you're your own worst enemy. I'm my own worst enemy, and there's there's no denying that for me in my own mind. Like, I know what I can do to myself, and nobody could do anything to myself like I could do it to myself, right? And even beating myself up, I brought myself to a point where I was so lost and insane and getting high, and I had all these drugs manipulating my mind, even just the little drugs, Wellbutrin, Neurontin, Baclofen, all the little Adderall, Klonopin, whatever, right? I was taking all these different pills, and they cause all these different moods and all these different feelings. You're either flying high, or you're riding low, or you're sick, and you're bunk shitting, puking because you got high for 3 months straight, and now you don't have any morphine sulfate anymore, or the lug got lugged. Like, the lug is a person who brings drugs in. And so when I got upstate, right, the first people I started to make friends with was the lugs, the people that were bringing the shit in. I would befriend them. I'd be like, yo, bro, what's up, bro? My name's Maddie. I want to get high, right? And you're not gonna stop me, bro. I want it. I have good money. Give it to me. I had pills. I had things to trade. So it was like, I got Adderall. I had Klonopins. I had the things that these guys wanted, but they had the stuff that I wanted, which is heroin. But heroin was so expensive at first. You couldn't just buy heroin every single day. So when I first went up there, it was like I would get high every few days, or every, twice a week, because it's $100 every time you get high, right? So in order to maintain a habit every single day, you have to be a lug, or you have to be in the lug's pocket, right? Or have a fucking stranglehold on that motherfucker, right? So if you can get in their head and make them fear you, and make them think that you could be the cause of their demise. Like, you could destroy their fucking face. As soon as they say no, you're gonna beat them up, and then they're gonna lose their lug, because any violent ticket, you're gonna lose your contact visits. So I would just get in their head, make them think that they couldn't predict my movements, they couldn't predict my actions. So they would break me off because they were unsure of me. They didn't know what to expect from me. So they, here, Maddie, here, Maddie. It was all to keep quiet. And it worked for so long. I was just getting by on getting by on getting high. And the things that I did were manipulative. They were destructive to myself and destructive to my attitude in the long run, because anything that you create a habit out of doing will become part of your character. And sooner or later, you'll forget that that's even a manipulation tactic. It's just part of you, and you think it's part of your character. It's something that you just do, and you're good at it, right? I worked the prison system like a fucking scientist, right? I learned all the ins and outs, and I would learn how to get my way when I needed my way without breaking my moral code, right? So my values and my morals were so iron, solid, strict. There's never going to be a situation where I'm telling, there's never going to be a situation where I rob somebody, like where there's like a sneaky rob, like where you're like, oh, let me get that, bro, and then you beat it and check off the block. There's not going to be none of that, right? So in order for me to maintain my habit, I had to be hard, and I wanted to get high. So don't get that twisted. I would make sure I was high and I was maintaining the habit, but without having to break my back on this bread. I wanted to be able to buy canteen and still get high. So I would get in the lug's head. I would make them, either they're going to be my friend, or they're going to be somebody that they can't predict my movement. So you work different people. You don't always go back to the same lug, because then they get sick of you, and either they check off or pull a stunt, and they say, oh, my lug, I don't got it no more. And then they'll start breaking their friend and giving it to their friend so that they can sell it, so that you can't figure out that they actually have shit, but they have it the whole time. But it's like, if you move on them, they're part of a different crew, or they're part of a different race, and you'll start a big thing. So it was always kind of a front. I was never going to actually move on the lug unless he gave me a good reason. And then, believe me, there was times where I did move on the lug. You know what I mean? And like, I'd lose my attitude. I start thinking so high on myself, like, this motherfucker's not going to break me off. He's got the car, and he's not letting me in the whip. Huh, fuck that, bro. What's he think I am, a fucking punk, bro? Fuck that shit, bro. I want a piece, bro. Like, you're not gonna make me like a chump, bro. Like, I'm a dude, bro. I'm that dude, bro. Like, you're not gonna not break me off, bro. And so that type of thinking was like, built my character up. You know what I mean? It made me into a different type of person. So that's the demon right there. That's the seed. It gets inside you and it plants itself in your brain, and it's telling you, you got to do this, you got to do that in order to get high. You got to do this, right? And it feels good because you got power, bro. You feel like you got power. And that's what it does. It lies to you, and it tells you have power. You're strong. You feel like you're Superman when you're high. And you're going to keep on doing it and doing it. And then slowly, it changes from you being on top and in control of it to being the bitch of that fucking drug, right? And then you're gonna be doing whatever you fucking feel like doing to get high. Like I said, I would never break my moral code and I would never break my values, but I did push the boundaries on these things where I did not feel right with myself on certain things that I did. I had like, and I'm gonna keep it so funky tonight, bro, on this story. Like, I'm not gonna lie. There's no more lying for me, bro. There's no more lying on my addiction. There's the only way to accept my addiction and get better is to tell the truth and accept God's will over my own, because I no longer control myself, because I let the demon control me for so long that now my will is shit. It still has control of my will. At any given time, at any given day, I could break and get high, and that thing's got me by the balls immediately from the first fucking time I get high. So I cannot break. I cannot let it back in. I have to let God control me, or else it's over for me, right? So now it's time to tell the fucking truth, bro, right? So from the very beginning, that's how I was acting. And then when I got towards the end of my bid, I was doing Suboxone. So when the dope game changed inside the max, it went from heroin to Suboxone, right? So you go from using dope once or twice a week, or even once every couple weeks, and even then, like, you're switching it up. And sometimes you're going with Neurontin runs, or you're going with Klonopins and drinking, or you're going with Adderall runs. And you're mixing it up, baclofens and Neurontin one day, Adderall, whatever, drinking. And you don't have to do the same thing every single day. But as soon as Suboxone came into the system, and you could do just a little bit, and you could buy it $50 for a pill. When it first came in, it was stop sign. So you could get a $50 pill, and you could break that into 16 highs, right? And at first, that was getting me high. I was throwing up, puking everywhere the first time I ever did it, right? So it comes in, and this dude, Mark Patton, he brings in a bunch of them. God rest his soul, Mark. And he brings in a bunch of them, right? And this dude, we go up to his cell, and he's like, Maddie, I need your help. He thinks I know something about this shit. I have no idea about it, right? So I go up to his cell, and he's like, here. He breaks out this stuff. He got it from Big Al, another guy, dead, right? Dying in prison, addicted to drugs, with a diaper and all that. Like, that's what addiction can do to your life. So I go up to his cell. We're breaking it down. And he's like, he takes 2 hours, dude. Like, this dude's breaking all these little tiny bags up. And he's like, after he's all done, he's like, little tiny grains into each one. And there's all these little tiny things. And I'm like, he's like, what do you think? He's like, how much should I sell this for? I'm like, what? What is that? Right? So I take it, and I'm like, let me do this, right? And after he just spent like 2 hours fucking making these little tiny piles to bags, right? I scraped it all into 4 big piles. And I was like, I'll take these 2. And I scraped 2 into my thing. And I was like, I'm going to send you $200 for that. All right. And I'm like, he's like, looking at the thing, like, he didn't even know what to think. God bless Mark. He was kind of slow at first. You know what I mean? He's the type of dude who tried to start a 1%er bike gang in G2. So, like, and he's a serious dude, no doubt. He stabbed the Latin King in the eye back in the day. He's a real dude. He's not like some fraudulent dude, bro. Like, he's a serious dude. But I was too quick for him. You know what I mean? My mind was way too quick for this dude, bro. And so I'm like, hey, you done? We're good. And I tell him, crack the door. So I fucking go out the cell, and he's still sitting there looking at this fucking piles, like. And then the next day, right? So I'll tell you what happened the next day, right? So I go down to my cell, I get these two piles, right? And I'm gonna send him $200 for it. I'm not gonna send it to him. I'm either gonna trade my pills, or my mom's gonna send it. That's the fucking reality about this getting high in prison thing. Your people are paying for these drugs, bro. They're working their fucking asses off on the streets to send the money into the joint so that you can feel good for a week or two, or a day, whatever the fucking situation is. You're not really paying for it in any way. Either you're trading state pills, or you're getting money from the fucking streets, right? Or you're selling drugs inside there, whatever it is, right? I go down to my cell, and I'm going to break it off with my boy, Matt Tolley, another person dead from addiction, right? And I have so many people in my life who are dead from addiction, which is why this is so fucking serious to me, and why you got to take it just as serious as I am taking it. And even if you don't think you have to take it serious right now, and you're using, I know you feel the pull. If you're using opiates right now, I know you feel the pull. It feels so damn good to be high, and there's nothing wrong with it at first. You feel like you're on top of the world. Nothing can fuck with you, right? It's going to change. It will always change, bro. It's never going to stay like that. So I go down to my cell. I'm going to break them off. But my last bottle of booze, which was under the toilet, It's gone. And I'm like, yo, where the fuck is my bottle at? Right. So I go looking for Maddie everywhere. I find him in Jody's cell, and I'm like, yo, did you drink my last bottle? And now this is unheard of, bro. Like, he stole from me. He's lucky I didn't punch his fucking head in, but he was my best friend. So I like, he knew that. So he did what he did. And he's laughing and shit, right? Like, it was like funny. I was so mad, right? I'm like, oh, okay. Now he's the one who got me into opiates. I mean, God rest his soul. He got me into opiates. He's the one who pushed it on. He's telling me all about it. Oh, Suboxone, you're gonna love it. Suboxone this, Suboxone that. And now he'd been using heroin. He'd been robbing banks on the streets for a long time to support his addiction. And that's just what that type of thing he did, bro. And that was his life. And he kind of just made me think that this was gonna change everything for me. I was gonna feel so fucking good, right? So I finally get these things, right? They just started coming into the prison, and I get it, and I go, I'm gonna break him off, but now he stole my last bottle, so I sniffed a half of a pill, like a whole half of a pill, and I don't even know what I sniffed. To tell you the truth, just big piles, bro, of it, right? Because it was all broken into powder. Because when you bring it in, you break it all the powder. Because bringing in the whole pills, you can only bring like 10. It's like a roll of quarters. So like when you brought the powder in, you could bring in 30 pills if you break it into powder, and that way it's all like, you know what I mean, compact, and you could tuck that shit real easy. So I sniffed a half a pill. It took like 45 minutes. I'm like, this shit is whack, bro. I don't feel nothing. So I go down to the cell and I sniff another one, right? And now I go up on the top tier, and I just sniffed the second one. And I'm walking along the top tier thinking, I want to beat Maddie's ass, right? When we get locked into this cell, I'm fucking him up, right? And I feel a little rumble in my stomach. Blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, what does that do, right? So I'm like, oh shit, I'm gonna throw up. That feeling you're gonna throw up. So I'm like, oh, I jet down to the cell, and before I even get there, I'm projectile and vomiting from the door, right from the door into the toilet, like spraying everywhere, like mostly water, because like you're drinking a lot of water when you're working out inside there. And good luck with working out after those first time using Suboxone. You're not going to be working out. You're not going to be eating, because you're going to be throwing up and laying on the floor spinning. So I do this shit, and I'm on the fucking floor all night long. Maddie's got the wet towel on my head, babying me. And I kind of felt bad, but I had another $100 bag in my pocket, which is like fucking, it was a lot, you know what I mean? So, and I'm holding on to it. I'm not giving him shit, right? So I got this fucking shit in my pocket. He's babying me, and I'm like, leave me alone. Like, I was so fucked up, though, I couldn't even move. If I moved to the left or the right, I'm getting nauseous and I'm throwing up. So I just laid on the floor all night long. And then the next day, I didn't even sleep because I was up all night itching myself to fucking hell. And the next day I wake up, I do a little bit more when I go to the yard, and that sickness kind of went away. Like, I didn't feel the same nauseous feeling from it, right? So then I get out to the yard, and Mark goes, "Hey, Mary." And I'm not going to say the exact word. I'll just say the beginning, like the first letter. And this is how, older white folks that was in prison, this is just how they were, right? So he's like, "Let me talk to you real quick." And I'm like, "What's up, Mark?" And he's like, "Hey, last night," he's like, "you think I'm stupid?" He's like, "You treat me like the N-word." And I'm like, "What the fuck are you talking about, Mark? I'm treating you like an N-word, right?" And he's like, "Come here." And he wants to talk to me, right? And I'm just a young prick, bro, right? So I'm like, "Fuck you, Mark. I'm out of here, dude," right? I'm just walking away from him. Anytime he gets close, he cannot catch me. I'm way too young and way too fast, right? And it's not like I'm running away from him, dude. Like, the dude, I'd scrape him. I don't want to beat this old man up, but he was my friend, you know what I mean? So it was like, it was kind of funny. It was just legitimately funny to me, right? And that's the demon, bro. It thinks all this is just a joke, bro. It's just, all these other things take away from the thinking of what you're actually doing is you're ingesting hardcore drugs into your body to dull the fucking emotional depravity that you have inside you, especially when you're doing a bid and you feel that terrible feeling that you feel. And so I get away from him, like I'm just avoiding him now, right? But then, obviously we walk into the block, we live on the block together, but he won't talk to me now. He's all pussy face, right? And shit. So I think it's funny, dude. And I'm in there. Next day, I don't even break Maddie off with nothing. I'm sitting on the rec deck doing little bumps, and I'm projectile vomiting I'm laying on the sit-up machine and giving random strangers that come out onto the rec deck. Anybody who come out to the rec deck when I was out there, I gave him a bump of Suboxone. I'm like, "Here, you want a bump?" And I'm like taking my ID card and put it in the bag, give them a little bump, even a little corner of that fucking card, bro, all for free, bro. I didn't hold any weight to it. I was not addicted at the time. Like I was just doing it to get by, get high, that's what it always starts out as, right? So I fucking, I'm sitting out there projectile vomiting, just giving random people shit. And it goes by like 2 days. I'm barely sleeping now because you don't sleep when you first start doing this shit. You're just up all night itching and shit, right? That was my introduction to Suboxone. That was my first sentence. The rest of my bid kind of went similar, but that sickness and that weird feeling that you get when you first start doing it goes away after the second time you do it. You'll not feel sick like that anymore. You're just going to be getting high, bouncing around the block, doing your fucking 1-2 and, trying to make a little bit of money off of the shit that you buy so you don't have to pay for it. Like, you buy it and then you hustle it, right? So you could pay for itself and make a little canteen on top of it, and you feel like the man. You just, you're on top of the world, bro. You got everything you need. Dudes see that you're making money, so they're breaking you off. They're giving you more because you're bringing the money back to them. So it's like, you're continuously, that's the stream. That's how you're in their pocket. You know what I mean? So you owe them money. They have to give you shit to get the money, to get the more, to, you know what I mean? It's a constant cycle. And so you can maintain that shit for a long time if you do it right. And I was a beast at it. I just thought I was really good. I was smooth. This is going to be how I do my bid. I'm comfy, right? And I went home with this type of thing. When I get home, I fucking have this terrible fucking, craving for opiates, right? So I get home, and the first night, my brother, I don't like I'm not going to put him out like that, but like, they were doing shit. My brother was a junkie, he was getting high on the street. So I got out to this, and it was the opiate epidemic. And in my area, the epidemic hit hard. Mothers, brothers, sisters, uncles, people that you would never expect. Like all the citizens were just getting high. Everybody was doing heroin. Everybody was doing perks. Everybody was doing OCs. It was like a fucking wild dude. I'd walk through Dennisport, right? And this is on the Cape. Dennisport is a seedier area of the Cape, right? But still, like I'd walk through the streets and it was like a ghost town. And you see people just sitting on the curb like this, drooling on themselves. And it's like, wow, bro. You just see the destruction throughout the entire fucking Cape was hit so hard, bro, right? So now I'm running the streets, I'm getting high, and I got this crazy ass tolerance to violence. So my threshold for violence and the way that I acted was so high. I was knocking people out for little minor things. And I thought, like, this is the way people are. You don't call people bitches and punks. And I wasn't acting. Like, this wasn't just an act. This was me thinking this is how life is. And I'm not forcing it, bro. This is how I felt. I put a curtain up in my room. And my mom's watching right now, she'll testify to this, that when I got home, the first night I was out, I'd taken a bunch of Adderall, did some heroin. I went face first into my pasta. My mom picking me up by my hair, like, look, what are you on? And I'm like, oh, I took my sleeping pills too early. And, I know she didn't believe me, but in her heart, because she's my mom, and she just doesn't want to believe that her son's going to be wildly addicted to the worst drug known to mankind, the most addictive substance on the planet, right? And I couldn't let myself go sick. So I just kept on moving, getting high. I didn't want to get that day where I was like, I couldn't function. So it was like, I didn't think it was ever going to come either. Like, you're doing it every day. You don't feel the sickness at first, but when that first feeling of that anxiety in your stomach and you can't fucking think straight and you're like, damn, man. And then you do the thing. The first time you get sick and then you get high and get off E, that's the first day of true, that demon's got a hold on you so tight. It had a hold on you from the beginning, but you just didn't realize it until that point. And when that hits you like a fucking sack of bricks and you realize, man, I am addicted. I'm getting sick, and now there's no way out for me. You know what I mean? Other than to get sick or keep getting high. And that's what I wanted to do, is just keep getting high. So one day I'm super sick. I'm running the streets like a madman and robbing every drug dealer that there was, because they were all, in my eyes, just a bunch of pussies, right? And I'm like, fuck these punk ass dudes. They haven't been what I've been through. They haven't done what I've done. They don't have the name I had. Like, and who the fuck am I, bro? I'm a loser, bro. I've never done nothing real with my life. The only thing real I've done with my life is create a reputation of violence and fucking, a prison reputation. Like, who the fuck cares, bro? I've seen the biggest PCs get out of prison and come out here on the streets and live the lavish life, driving around the hood, the real fucking hood, bro, where dudes are getting smacked every fucking day with Cadillacs on fucking spinners and shit, right? Selling shit in the hood, total rat PCs. It's like, I don't get it, bro. I thought my whole life, like, if you were a rat, if you were a skinner, if you were a lame, weird fucking fuck, and you gave yourself up, like you sold your soul to the devil like that, you are gonna be ostracized. But it's not true, bro. People will overlook that for several different types of reasons. Money, you're the man, whatever it is, right? So I'm seeing this shit and I'm like, wow, bro, like, fuck this. There's nothing in the world for a real dude like me, you know? And I delved into addiction, and it was either rob banks and I go back to prison eventually, or like I thought that I could lie to myself and I could just keep getting high and doing this shit. But I woke up one day viciously sick. I had robbed everybody. Nobody wanted to fucking see me, bro. Nobody wanted to come see me. And I had to get on the methadone clinic. The methadone clinic. And that's what this is all about. My struggle through methadone, right? And as you see on the thumbnail, right, there's a picture of that demon inside of an eyeball, like, and that's exactly how I feel, bro. Is that I signed myself up to liquid handcuffs for the rest of my life, and there's no way out, but there is a fucking way out, right? And I'm doing it right now, and I'm gonna get to that, right? It's not easy, dude, right? And you're gonna deal with a lot of shit. You're gonna deal with a lot of fucking complications. But you know what, dude? If you got a granite will and you got God, bro, you can do whatever the fuck you want. And that's no lie. That's no exaggeration. You have to make that commitment to yourself that you're gonna be a winner. Nothing's gonna fucking stop you. Nothing. Nothing, bro. Nothing's stopping me, bro. The only person that can make me lose now is me, right? I made myself lose my whole life without even knowing it, thinking that I was living up to a standard that I set for myself. And I'm doing it over and over and over again, thinking that I'm going to raise the bar for myself. But the bar I'm raising is one of gangsterism and losing. I'm losing. I'm a chronic loser, bro. And I can't fucking stop no matter what I do, because I have that demon inside of me and it needs to get fed. So I'm going out to feed it. And that entails me robbing, stealing, and doing, I'm doing whatever I'll steal from my parents. I'll steal from this guy. I'll take whatever I need. And I'm not thinking about how this looks. And the demon is now taking away my friends, my family. Nobody wants to be around an addict in full addiction. Nobody, because you're not trustworthy. Something else is controlling you. Something else has control of those nuts of yours, or that fucking vagina, whatever it is, bro, right? And figuratively speaking. So it will drag you around. Like, you ever seen those commercials with cigarettes and it's like, oh, gotta go. Well, that's it right there, but in a way different type of way, bro, right? Strong. So I go back to prison. I end up running the streets until I was fucking ragged, right? And I tried to commit suicide. I shot 2 grams of dope. I had 2 grams. I had 1 gram left. I had been shooting dope all day, and I was running around in Boston, and I was in ATM dugout with this kid who I had just fucking met like a week ago, and I was basically homeless. I was running around the streets, and I had had enough. I was cold, and I had reached my what I thought was my rock bottom, right? But it wasn't, because it can get worse and worse, and it will get worse. Trust me, as long as you don't stop, the level that you think is your worst will keep on sinking lower and lower and lower, right? So I'm in that dugout. I got the gram. I set it up in the spoon. I fucking suck it up in the needle, dude, and I sign off. Boom. I'm letting it up to God. But I shot it in a vein that I had collapsed because I was shooting hot pills into my arm, right? So I shoot it into my arm and nothing happens. I'm like, what the fuck? But really, it was going to happen. It was just clogged at the time. It wasn't moving as fast as I thought it was. So it was like trickling through whatever, clogged veins I had, right? So I walk to the hospital. After I give this kid, I'm like, you know what? I shot this kid's blood. He could have had AIDS. He could have had whatever. But because that didn't do it for me, I didn't go out from that. He couldn't hit. he couldn't get his shit in because he just kept on going in. It was just filled with blood, and it was gonna congeal. He was gonna lose it. He's like, "Here, you want this? I can't get it." And he's already so fucking high, he couldn't even see straight. So I'm like, "You got anything?" Like he's gonna be like, "Yeah, I have AIDS, right?" No, I have Hep C. It's bad. I said, "Oh, I already have Hep C," but really, I didn't. I didn't have it. I just thought I did, and I shot Hep C right into my fucking arm. And there you go. There's another part of the demon. Hep C. And that's the biggest killer right now. It's worse than AIDS, right? I don't have AIDS. I didn't catch it, luckily, because this kid didn't have it. And that was the only time I ever really did something like that. So I fucking bang it, nothing happens. I'm like, you gotta be shitting me, right? So I'm at wit's end, right? So I walk down the street, I go to Mass General, I walk in the door, and I tell the doc, whoever's at the desk there, I don't even remember. I'm like, hey, I'm suicidal and I need to go in, right? And he's like, are you sure? Well, I'm pretty sure, bro. Yeah, I'm pretty sure I'm suicidal, bro. I just shot a gram of dope in my arm, and before I even could know what was happening, I woke up a week later in a fucking room in the hospital. I had went out right there, boom, went into a coma, and I had so much coke, benzos, alcohol, and dope in my system that they couldn't even really give me Narcan like that. I guess they gave me some of it, but my heart was just going all over the place. So they just kept on paddling me and giving me adrenaline and just paddling me, and they kept me alive. But I think at one point they called my parents and told them that they should come up and see me or whatever. It wasn't looking good, whatever, bro, right? So they send me to an addiction treatment center, right? And I get there and they don't have my dose. They don't have my shit, nothing. And I had been running without my methadone for 2 or 3 days now. At that point, someone stole my last dose papers and I couldn't get my dose. And I was moving around from clinic to clinic and my life was so hectic, right? And I'm on the floor in there, butt naked, not even wearing underwear, nothing, because I thought my clothes were burning on fire. My skin was on fire. I was pouring sweat. And I'm laying on the floor in front of the desk, pouring sweat, thinking I'm gonna die. And finally, I get a Subutex. They gave me a Subutex, and then I started eating. Blah blah blah. I'm back to normal. I get my dose the next day, right? And I ended up going back to prison. Like, I'm going to skip over a few parts because I can't possibly tell you everything. The general gist is that is when I got out of prison, I was so fucked. I had no control over my life. They had given me no preparation whatsoever to live a normal life or lead any type of normal life, right? So I get out, I go to fucking, I go to this treatment place, I leave there, right? 3 weeks later, I do a home invasion and I'm back in prison for 11 more years. I got a 10 to 12. And I almost killed 2 people thinking I don't care about my life, right? But you will fucking regret it because at some point when that drug wears off and your high wears off, you're going to have reality smack you right in the fucking face like you never even expected, right? So I get into prison and I'm on methadone. And this is before they give methadone inside of prison. So I get in there and I am sick. My brother tells me in the holding tank, he's like, Maddie, he's like, it's gonna be good. You're fine. Don't worry about it, right? So I'm like, whatever, you know. I get into the fucking I get into the Plymouth. They sent me to Plymouth because I can't go back to Barnstable because I'm beating up the COs and all that shit. So I get to Plymouth, right? And I'm in the fucking holding tank, and I start feeling this weird feeling. And I'd never been methadone sick before in my life. I just got on it this time getting out of prison. I had never been really addicted to opiates before I got out of prison that time. And I got out, and right when I got out, like literally that week, I got on Suboxone, and then I ran over the script and said I didn't because it was working too well. I couldn't even get high on dope, and I wanted to get high and go to the clinic, right? And that's one of the things about methadone that's so fucked is that most people that are on that shit are not getting right, and that's the other part I'm going to talk about. That's another aspect I'm going to get to is that it is not the antidote, right? It is not going to save your life. You are the only person who can save your life. Methadone can be a tool to help you, but you alone, it is not going to do anything unless you have the will and you have the drive to stop getting high and use that for what it's worth until you got to go down and get off that shit and start living a life that is actually normal, where you don't have to go somewhere every day in order not to be sick. So I get back to prison. I am so sick, right? When I first got in, I actually went to Plymouth, and then I bit the nurse because I had been awake for so many days, right? I started hallucinating. I was kicking benzos because I'd been on Klonopin for about 10 years. I was kicking Neurontin, which is also about 10 years. I had been taking Adderall for a very long time on a long, like everyday basis, shooting it at this point. And I'd been sniffing Wellbutins and shooting Wellbutins into my veins until they were all hard and fucked up. And I didn't even really have veins. I mean, now I have everything back because I haven't been getting high for so long now that, my life has changed in a big way. So, and all this stuff that has happened to me and all this stuff, this is why I'm saying that I can change, you can change, because I was totally fucked, right? And I'm gonna tell you, this is not the worst of it, bro. I had not reached my breaking point with drugs for a very long time from this point, right? I'm moving ahead. I was sick for 3 months. 3 months of my life, I felt like I was never gonna be normal again. I ended up in Bridgewater State Hospital because it had affected me in such a way. I literally thought about, and I always saw people in the suicide watch cells getting on the toilet and saying, I'm gonna jump off head first. And I used to think, like, these dudes are such fronters, bro. Like, they're such fucking pussies. Like, but like methadone sick, I was literally thinking about getting on that ledge, and that they had me in a rubber room at first when I bit the nurse's fingers and I got sent to the hospital and all that. I had thought that. So like what happened, why I ended up biting the nurse's fingers is they put me in SDG status in Plymouth segregation because I was labeled as a white gang member, right? So they put me in the SDG status in the hole and had me on like Hannibal Lecter status, rec alone, cell alone. I felt like a PC, bro. But apparently they do it to everybody on my like on my level. Like if you go there and you're a serious dude, they're gonna put you like that for a little while until they figure out your enemies and all that. Because obviously I don't tell them anything, so they don't know what to expect. So they just put you like that, right? So I get in there, I'm like that, and I feel like I can't talk to people. I'm awake every single night, all night, every night for 47 days. I did not sleep one wink. And it was not a fucking good not sleeping. I was awake and I was suffering on a level it's unheard of. And this is why it became illegal to do this to people and why methadone is now a thing in prison, right? And I got on methadone again in prison after so long, and after going through this. And this is how devious this addiction is, right? So I get off, I finally get through, all right, I was in the cell, and one day I started having heart palpitations. My heart was going crazy. Now I was also kicking benzos. And so this is all mixed in together. So I don't even know what's doing what, but I'm starting to have seizures, right? I had grand mal seizures, right? So I'm having heart palpitations, and I tell the runner, I said, yo, bro, tell the cops that I need to talk to somebody because I think I need to see a nurse or something, right? And I was losing my mind. I was hallucinating. I started to see little things and like shadows, and I started thinking that my door was opening at nighttime, and I'm like, it was just weird, bro. Like all these weird little things like were going on in my head. So I go out, I hit the ground. I'm going into seizures. And so they put me on a stretcher. They bring me to a medical room, and I'm in the medical room, and they're trying to feed me Librium pills, right? But I'm thinking they're trying to feed me fish because I was out of my fucking mind, right? So I'm allergic to fish, and they're trying to feed me fish, and I'm like, I can't eat fish. I'm gonna die. And I got my teeth clenched, and I'm not giving them nothing, right? I'm not letting them put that in my mouth. I'm like, fuck you. Like, I'm allergic to fish. And so the lady's trying to put the Libriums in my mouth. So I'm like, I bit her fingers, dude. And she's screaming, right? And then I had all these COs jump on me and pin me to the stretcher, but they were beating me up too, So I thought that I was in a cave and the rocks crumbled on me, and my legs were trapped and I couldn't get out. And I was they were poisoning me with fish. I had these are the places that this brought me, right? And I'm telling you, man, like there's nothing worse than losing so much sleep that you're hallucinating and going through all these things. Like it is hell, living fucking hell, right? So I finally got through that period. After a little bit, your body gets so exhausted that finally you'll start getting these little 2-minute stretches of sleep, right? And you feel like you're asleep for hours and hours. And then you wake up and it's literally 2 minutes later and you're like, oh my God, I can't do this anymore. You're rubbing against the blanket and literally all your skin is so sensitive, your dick will get hard just from rubbing against the blanket. And now all of a sudden you're like jizzing on your blanket for you're not even touching yourself. Like it is crazy, bro. It does so many weird things to you, right? Your emotions are like a roller coaster. One second I'm like, oh, I can do this, right? And then the next second I'm like, I hate my life. It was so crazy, bro, right? Like that combination of detox, not sleeping, not eating. I had on Thanksgiving Day, I was in a suicide watch cell, and I had just caught this home invasion, and I had not eaten for 14 days. I had not slept for 15 days, and I was, at the peak of this weird fucking fuck thing with the benzos and shit. And that's when I was thinking about jumping off the ledge and all that shit. And I was thinking about suicide, bro. I was like, the only way out is to kill myself. And I didn't do it. Obviously, I'm right here today. And I struggled and I lived and I chose to keep on living, which is probably the hardest part. And when people say, oh, you're a pussy for wanting to kill yourself, you really are. Because at that point, it's easy to do it, bro. You have to fight yourself every morning not to do it. And so that's what I did. I fought myself every fucking morning for a long ass time, saying things will get better, bro. Things will change. Something's gonna change. Something's gotta give. It can't be like this forever. God's not gonna give me more than I can take. But at points it'll feel like that. You know what I mean? Like even right now, it's not good. But things get better. I'm moving, I'm working, I'm putting in work. But these struggles built my character to a point that nothing can stop me, bro. I am a fucking savage. I'm a beast. I'm the only person that controls my destiny. I am controlling it. I'm taking control of my life. No longer is opiates got me by the balls, right? I can give it back to him if I want any fucking day, right? But I'm not gonna let that demon back in. So I go back upstate, and the first thing I do is think I'm gonna live comfortable. I start getting high in Suboxones. Boom, I'm going for at least 8 years straight. Like I did not have to miss a day. I had everything I needed. I had all the connections, all the friends, all the lugs in my pocket. Everybody fucked with me. And I did not need to go for nothing without anything forever. I thought everything was gravy. At one point, I was sitting in my cell thinking, man, I had my foot up on the table. I was smoking Deuce, which is K2, taking Remerons and Clonidines and Suboxone. And that when it all hit you at once, I get a nod like dope. Ugh. And I'm thinking, man, I could do a life sentence. This is not bad. I had pages of Deuce, fucking tons of Neurontins, tons of Suboxones, like packages like that, big old fucking packages. And it was not bad, bro. I didn't think anything bad about it. I'm like, this is the life, man. I could beat off, it's not going to be that bad. And I've been so used to it for so fucking long. At that point I had done 6, then 8. So it's like, 6 and 8, it's 14 years or something. And I was just, it wasn't that bad to me. I didn't think it was. I could keep doing this, right? Wrong, because things changed, bro. Things changed really fucking quick at one point. It's like a light switch, and the demon takes it back. It gives it to you, takes it back, and that's how it works. It gives you the life, and then it takes it back, and it gives you back to you, and then it takes it back. It's a recurring cycle, bro, because it has to keep you in. It has to keep you hooked. It has to keep you going. And that's why I really believe it is a demon, because there's little things that happen in your life and like changes in your mood and in your character and in the way you're acting. And so it's like something else is controlling the things around you and making you see things in a different light. Like at some points you think it's great. This is fucking awesome. I feel like I'm on top of the world. And then as soon as it feels like it's got you by the balls and you can't get off, boom, it takes it off from you and you're still stuck on the drug, right? And now all you are is just an addict with nothing. So I was going through my big comfortable, and then finally what happened was my brother got into a fight with the COs. They locked the prison down. And this is where like the breaking point of Sousa Baranowski was literally right after this happened. So, they had been fucking torturing him. Ryan did not do the wrong thing. What happened with Ryan, it was a sad fucking situation the cops put him in. I don't blame him at all. I do feel like he could have went about it in a different way. You know what I mean? But I don't blame him at all, bro. I mean, I've been to the point where I broke a CO's jaw, I broke his nose, gave him a concussion, busted up a lip, and I was sober when I did it. He was high, so it's like, who's more at fault? You know what I mean? I was thinking clearly he wasn't. So it's like, I don't know, bro. Whatever, bro. He did what he did, but the prison got locked down. So I'm in my cell up in the SDP doing a DDU sentence. And I'd been up there for about 18 months at the time. And Boom, the prison gets locked down. Ryan's in a fight. They tell me he stabbed the cop. I'm like, shit. I lost my brother forever because they'll give him a 20 piece on top of his thing already. And I didn't think I was gonna have my brother anymore, bro. I was a sad moment in my life, bro. I was very distraught, bro. Very distraught that I lost my brother and that he was gonna go through that suffering. I didn't know if he could be strong enough to get through it like that because at points I felt like I wasn't strong enough to get through it like that. And that's just how it works. Sometimes you'll feel like that if you let it get to you. You know what I mean? Especially when you're addicted and you're going through the struggle with addiction, you'll convince yourself that it's easier to kill yourself. You know what I mean? And maybe you don't know what I mean. Maybe you don't because long-term segregation will do things to your mind, bro. And getting high up there is just it's what you got to do almost. And so I kept on doing it up there, and I still had my plugs downstairs. I'm, you know, I never lost my respect in the joint. I still have it. I still have the self-respect, but I did lose my own self-respect for a little while because I let the addiction take away most of my property. I didn't sell my property or anything. I just couldn't buy it anymore because I was buying drugs instead. You know what I mean? And it wasn't for long. I never let it last for long. And like once I got to that point, that's when I snapped out of it and I started to think like, fuck this shit, bro. I can't let myself live like this. I've watched people go with a coffee cup on their hygiene shelf and nothing, no TV, nothing. I've always had a TV. I've always had hygiene. I've always had food. You know, so it could have been worse. I could have been worse. And, you know, addiction brings you to places and certain people act a different way than others. And certain people's lows are different lows than others. So my low is different than your low and vice versa. So when I felt like I had nothing, there was other people with way less. But that's my feeling of having nothing because I've always, you know, made sure I was right. I always made sure I was living comfortable. So when I didn't have as much as I always had and I was very low like that, that's when I'm thinking like, man, I've let this shit take me. I've let this shit get the better of me. How did I do this? How did I get to this point? It's a rude awakening. And you know what happened was I was sitting in the hole when it happened and the prison went dry. They stopped contact visits. They locked the place down. They came to my cell, beat my ass, and said, "This is for my brother." You know what I mean? And after that, they started fucking with me heavy because I'm my brother's twin brother, and he just embarrassed three of them by himself. So it's like they were pissed, you know. And I had been acting a fool for a long time in there. You know, I did not have respect for them. You know what I mean? So I treated them, you know, they didn't have respect for us. So I treated them with the same disrespect they treated with me. If they treat me with respect, I treated them with respect right back. That's just how I am. I treat you how you treat me. But you got these dumbass cops that think they're tough and treat you like a dumbass. So I treat them right back like a dumbass, but I'm a lot tougher than they are. So when it comes down to it, they feel like they take a short because I'm not taking no shorts, bro. So it's like they're fucking pissed. You know, they get something up their ass, a hair up their ass, and now they got a million of them and one of you. And you know, when Suboxone came into the prison, it became disunified. Everybody was so focused on not being sick and getting high and not losing their pack and this and that. It became phony, bro. And you know, there was a lot of infighting because one of the symptoms of Suboxone use, long-term Suboxone use, literally, if you look it up on your Google or whatever, it'll say ruined relationships. For whatever reason, this is true. Suboxone will fuck your relationship statuses up with your friends. Like it's like it makes you angry and paranoid or something. I don't know what the fuck it does, but it did something to the prison. It did something different, noticeable, where I left and when I came back and Suboxone was the main drug, it was different in a big, big way. So like it fucked me up, bro. It took me a long time to readjust to a prison that was, you know, dominated by a drug that changed people's personalities, bro. And so the whole prison was changed like this. It wasn't just one or two people, it was every fucking body, right? So, and even your friends, like everybody's on this shit. So like everybody's acting different, you know what I mean? Because it really will change you, even if it's in minute ways where you can't notice it. If you leave and you're not around it and you come back, like if you were there before and thereafter, you can notice. So I got that perspective. I got to go home and come back when before and then after Suboxone. So it was like I seen the pre and then the post. So before I left, Suboxone was coming in at stop signs and pills, and strips had just started trickling in. But the thing is, strips are so small and so thin, you could bring in hundreds and hundreds of them and feed the whole prison. Just one lug. You know what I mean? Could feed the whole fucking prison for months. So like Suboxone was dominating. You know what I mean? It wasn't the same game anymore. And everybody was, they thought they were hustlers. They'd get like 5 strips and sell 16s. And I just thought it was lame. I'd buy 20 strips and do it all because I didn't need to sell it like that. I had the K2 and other things that I can make decent money on. So I was like, fuck that shit, And a lot of my friends were doing good things and they had money and shit, money to put away. And I was sending my mom money. I mean, I had a decent bank account and she'd always ask me, like, where's this money coming from? Like, what are you doing? How are you getting this money? And it's like, what am I going to say? You know what I mean? Like, uh, it just is what it is. That's my mom right there. And she could tell you, like, I sent money home because I was making money, $1,000 checks, whatever, like it was good. I thought like I can do this, it wasn't that bad, bro. And like having money like that in prison is you're set atop, you're on a pedestal because people are broke and living fucked up. You know what I mean? And so like it was up to me to make sure the people around me were living decently enough where me having money wasn't a personal disrespect to everybody around me. Like they didn't think I was bougie. You know what I mean? Because I used to think like that when people had money and I was not having money. I didn't have it like that. I'd be like, man, fuck this dude. He thinks he's better than me because he's not gonna break me off. And that's like the type of thinking you get in your head. Like, what? This dude ain't gonna break me off. What, you think you're better than me, bro? You think I'm a chump? Like, fuck you, bro. So, I mean, some people, I'm like that. A lot of people just take the short, and the addiction gets such of the better of them that they become a gremlin like Schmiegel. You know what I mean? Like I was never the Schmiegel type of addict. I was the aggressive, take it type of addict. You know what I mean? And that's why, like, living like that for so fucking long inside the prison, living like that for so long, it changed my character to someone who thought, violence was the only tool. Aggressive manipulation was the only way to get what I wanted. Until this day, I have a problem where when I can't act aggressive, I can't figure out how to get what I need and want. Like I can't go to a store and be like, you're gonna give me a fucking job, bro. Or I'm gonna come here every fucking day and I'm gonna fucking beat your ass. Like it doesn't work like that. You know what I mean? Like I can't threaten people into giving me what I need out here. So now my one tool that I've learned to use for so long has been stripped away from me. And I'm learning all these different, coping mechanisms, way to get by right now that I've never really used before, and creation has been my biggest tool, creating content. And let me tell you, I've crossed over from a path of a content maker where I'm just making content for YouTube to give therapeutic or informational stuff to people, to creation of content on YouTube where I can make an art form out of an interview, an art form out of a video that can provide some wealth of information. You know what I mean? Like that's the difference. You know what I mean? Like I'm providing an art form is hard to learn, very, very hard. But if you see this camera right here, I'm basically training people how to fucking do it. Like I'm making videos right now of editing and stuff like that. But let me get back to my addiction. Let me get off track. So I'm running very hard inside the prison, and I'm starting to get now the prison's dry. There's no Suboxone, so there's nobody to threaten to get what I need. Now I got the cops beating down my door, fucking with me, treating me like a bag of shit because of what happened with my brother. And I'm thinking, I'm sick. I'm dope sick. You know what I mean? It took me a few months to get past that. And every single time you get dope sick, I feel like I get stronger and it gets easier. Some people say it gets worse, but I think it just happens quicker. You know what I mean? Like you could get addicted very much quicker. It's like your body clings to it after a little bit of while, like a little bit of time getting high and getting sick, and then getting high and get sick. Your body, like as soon as you start getting high again, it's like you can get sick off of like a week of getting high. You know what I mean? Rather than 3 months, like when you first start or whatever. So I'm going through these cycles of getting high, getting sick, getting high, getting sick every time you go to the hole. And I only got sick for about maybe a day, if that, if I go to the hole. But usually I brought shit with me. But there was those people that go to the hole and that was their detox. In prison, the hole is like detox. You go to the hole and it's like you're kicking. You know what I mean? So people would literally on purpose, when they get too bad, get lugged, get into a fight, go to the hole, detox, and come out and start all over again, because you run out of money, you run out of avenues. You can't contribute to your own addiction. So you have to rely on people out there to do it for you. And after a certain amount of time, that becomes old to the people out in the streets. They don't want to fucking support your addiction. They don't want to keep going like that. It's not possible. Like, they're not working so you can go get high in prison. They're working so they can feed their family, feed their children, and do the things that they do out there on the streets, bro. When I couldn't get high in there and there was no drugs after a while, boom, they start the methadone clinic. Now I'm thinking, I got to get on the methadone clinic. It's the only way I can get high. But I wanted to get on Suboxone because in my head, I thought if Suboxone doesn't get me high, it helps me with psychological issues like anxiety and depression. It did it for a very long time. I felt stable on Suboxone, where like, because I wasn't chasing it and I wasn't forced to spend all my money like other people, I could use Suboxone as a medical drug to help me with my anxiety, to help me with my addiction, to help me with my depression. And it worked until the money became tight and I had to chase. And that's where your self-respect comes into play, where you feel like you're giving your food away to get high. And I had a big thing against giving my food away to get high. I would much rather throw it all on my family. Be like, Mom, I have nothing. What kind of shitbag does that, bro? You know what I mean? Like, lying to my family so that I can keep my food in my cell, because I know my mom wants me to eat. And I know that she wants me to feel all right. She doesn't want me to be sick, and she doesn't want me to, stress or struggle or be in a situation inside the prison. So she's going to do whatever she needs to help me out. And I thought in my head, she can do it. It's not a big deal. She couldn't do it. It's not possible to keep doing that, bro. So after a long time, and I was selling the shit, making my own money and doing my own thing, that's how I figured out I had to do it, bro. I can't rely on my family. I can't put that pressure on them. So I did it myself, and it felt so much better. I felt better about myself, and I couldn't, like, that's the only way to combat that if you're so addicted, like. And when that all went away and it was dry in the prison and the methadone came around, I started doing they made a policy, bro. And this is how fucked up that prison is. They made a policy, right? That you could start methadone if you get dirty urines. Only if you get dirty urines. So they're like making people want to get high so that they can get a fucking dirty urine so that they could get high on methadone. Rather than just providing you Suboxone, a drug that literally can help you very, very much without making you high and without without you having to get dirty urines, knowing that people, if it comes into the joint, they're going to just buy it anyway. They could just give it to you and save that whole the drug trade inside the prison. They could stop that. They could stop people from having to spend all their family's money. They could stop people from losing all their canteen and their fucking property and shit like that for the people who did that. And they would have contributed to the health of the facility, but instead they said, we're going to give you methadone. We're only going to give people Suboxone going home within 90 days, but you got to be getting high to get the methadone. It's like, so you're telling me that you have to make this guy save his methadone, give me some methadone so that he can divert his medication. I can get high and I can get on methadone myself so I can do the same thing for somebody else. Makes no fucking sense the way they do shit in there. And it's all to promote some type of unrest and some dirty motives, man. They got dirty fucking motives in there. So now you get dirty urines, but they don't charge you for it because it's for methadone. But if you get a dirty urine for the facility, you're going to get charged for it. Makes no sense, bro. Like, they fucking do all these dirty tricks in there, bro. They're fucking scumbags, bro. I've had enough of prison and their motives, their tactics, their fucking devious ways. The prison will not help you in any fucking way. It'll bring you to lows that you never thought you'd go to. So when I get out of DDU that time, I go down the hole. I'm in DDU, I get on methadone, and boom, I'm rising. I'm one of the first people, because as soon as they started putting it in, I started acting up, getting crazy with the cops, fighting the move team, getting, making the dirty urines and shit, fucking acting a fool. I cut my own arms. Like I was acting a fucking fool. I made them give me more methadone, or else I was gonna make their day a living hell. Like, that's where I say my self-respect came into play, because I was doing things that I never would do in order to get from them what I needed, that they should have just gave me in the first place, but they make you do all this extra shit so that you can fucking support your fucking, like, it's just fucked, bro. And when I got on the methadone, I climbed, bro. I went up to 135 milligrams in the prison, and I wasn't even getting high for real, bro. Like the place was dry, bro. I got on methadone, right? And this is no knock against anybody getting on methadone or Suboxone in the prison, because you're gonna buy it anyway. If you don't have to buy it from somebody illicitly in the prison, I never saved my methadone or sold my methadone. I took all of it because I wanted every little drop. And if you could give me yours, I'll take that too. But I'm not giving you mine, right? That's the way. I don't have to buy anything. I could just take my own shit. I don't need to buy nothing. I have everything myself. And anything I get, I could sell it because I don't need it. You know what I mean? And that was just a fucking rope, bro. It was a rope. It got me roped back on methadone. So now I'm leaving the prison on a high methadone dose, and I'm stuck going to the clinic every fucking day, right? I'm addicted again in a different type of way. The antidote? I don't think so. Every day I go to the clinic, I walk past the horde of fucking addicts, bro, that are living the lives that you could never imagine. And shout out to Tommy G, came out to Mass Ave and did a methadone mile video. That should be dropping next week or something, man. He's dropped like 5 videos since he's been out there, but I'm in that video. I happened to be driving by, I seen Tommy G, I hopped out the whip on him, like, yo, I fucking know you, bro. And I fucking ran up to him and shit, bro. And he's like, yo, come on, man, let's get in the video. Me and Exit Fame, all them, we were all hanging out, just kicking it with Tommy G and making this video on Mass Ave while dude's tweaking out in the corner. And he's like, what the hell is going on, bro? Like, what is he on? And this is everywhere on Mass Ave. It's like there's some scientific experiment going on in these drugs, bro, that they're providing to people out there. It's like that there's something in it that's not fucking right, bro. They're doing something to those drugs, bro. I see everybody's got a bent neck now. Like, what's up with the bent neck? What does that come from? I don't even know. If anybody knows what that comes from, let me know in the comments, because, like, what is that? I see everybody walking around with a bent ass neck. Like everybody's neck's all of a sudden all fucked up. It's like affecting one of their vertebrae or something. Like it attacks one of their vertebrae. I swear, I'm not even lying. Like this is the type of shit I see every day. I walk through a horde of addicts, and everybody on that clinic that I see going in there, they come out the clinic and they go right to that fucking horde where the cops, you could blow a hit of crack smoke right in their face, and they're not gonna do another fucking thing, bro. Right? That's just how it is out there. It's so bad that the cops can't even do nothing about it, right? I mean, they could, but what are you going to do? Throw every addict on Mass Ave in the jail? Make all the taxpayers' dollars make every taxpayer pay for people's addictions that they create somehow in some type of way? Nah, that's not the way to deal with it. There's got to be another way. There's got to be a better way. Has to be, bro. It can't be like that, bro. That is a fucking evil. You walk into a layer of hell over there. And what I mean by that is that if you think about people's consciousness on a levels, right? And where every person's consciousness is on a certain level, and you could be in a living hell inside your brain. So if you walk into a place where everybody's consciousness is at a place that they're living in hell, it's like you could feel it in the air. Like it's like vibing off of them. They're in hell, all of them. Living on the streets, sleeping on the streets, rain, sleet, snow, cold, heat, whatever. And they don't care. It's like they want this, bro, until they can get housing, public housing, or whatever the fuck they're getting from it, bro. It drives me nuts, bro, that there's nothing we can do about it, bro. Nothing. Because the methadone clinic is just contributing to the situation. You could just go get on the methadone clinic, get that and your dose. People are ODing right in the bathroom. People are ODing right outside. And it's an every single day occurrence. It's not just once in a while. I see it every single day. I've seen dead bodies, people who do not come back. They're dead forever. Gone, gone, gone. Right? And it is like a whole generation of addicts that are twisted and fucked up, because this is not the same type of high that you're getting, bro. They're tweaked out, talking to themselves. Like I walk past most people, they look like they're getting something out of their purse or something like that. And they just sit there like this, the same position, with like their hand in some bag or something. Like, and you're like, what is this dude doing, bro? They don't move. It's like they're statues or something. And that's their existence. Tweaked out, no sleep, smoking crack, doing fetty and fucking meth. All at the same time, pills, whatever they can get their hands on. And it's all very available. All out there, right? I can get whatever I want any single day I want to let that demon back into my life. Available. But you know what that does for me? When I see that, I see the life that I cannot ever imagine myself living, but that I could be living as long as I let that back into my life. That's me out there, bent neck, reaching in my bag, stuck there for like 10 hours straight. That's not what I'm going to be doing. I'm not going to let that back in my life. And there's no way I'm lying to myself ever again saying that I can get high and I'll never be like that. Because you can be like that. That could be you. Because I've seen the most normal people just like me, just like you, start getting high again. And it's like they change. They're out there on the Ave, a different fucking person, tweaked out, talking themselves, twisting around in circles, reaching in their bag, stuck there like they're a statue for hours, whatever. All that shit is available right there, out there. Any day you want to fuck up your life, you can go out there and fuck up your life. Is it a government experiment? Who the fuck knows? But this is my story now. My story now is that I've got to a point on methadone where I feel like I can't let this control my life anymore. It's part of my blood, it's part of my bones, it's part of my muscles, it's part of my attitude. And I'm telling you, I went from 175 milligrams and I'm now down to 93 milligrams. I wake up at 2:30 in the morning with a boner every day. That's why, and it's because I'm coming off the drugs so hard. Like this methadone coming out of me, it's got my skin all sensitive again. I'm going through the same withdrawal feelings. I'm feeling all that same weird shit. And I'm willing to take it because I know that these handcuffs, the liquid fucking handcuffs, are no longer for me. I am no longer want to be a slave to anything, nothing. I don't want to be a slave no more, bro. Don't. It's done for me. I've had enough. So here I am, bro, today. 93 milligrams coming down every single day, week. I'm doing it. I mean, I'm going to switch over to Suboxone, get that shot one time, and I'm done. Because you can get the shot. Once you get down to a certain level, you get the shot, and it takes away any sickness, and you just glide right off. So there's a way now. Now that there's a way, if I don't take it, it's on me, whether I want to continue doing this or not. So I take control of my life, and I'm doing it. Getting off of methadone, and I'm going to be the man that I'm supposed to be tomorrow, today. I'm not waiting for tomorrow no more. Today's the day to live. Tomorrow's the day to die. Fuck tomorrow. Today's it, right? So I'm glad I'm gonna answer some. I'm gonna talk to the chat, bro. Hey, everybody, Jay Ryan, Timbuktu, Chris, um, Matt, Mom, what's up? Bats, how you doing, man? Um, Townie here, bro. What up, Townies? Bats, you're not from the town, Bats. Stop lying. Jason Trimmins, kid, what's good, bro? Yeah, they did. They do. Fact, bro. It destroyed the entire economy inside of prison, or actually, it created a different economy inside of the prison. It created an economy of a revolving door of money, but also a revolving door of desperation and destruction, right? As long as the chase exists and they're making you chase for it, the destruction exists. If they just give it to you, they take away that whole fucking aspect of it. Yep, no one be eating at night. It's like people don't care about food anymore. You know, you got to get high. You got to not, and it's because it works very well to take away your depression and anxiety. And, you feel like you're on the streets all over again. So it's like, fuck all that, dude, right? I could just do a piece today, not feel like shit. And as soon as you start doing pieces, you wake up and you feel groggy and crappy for like 3 days. But as soon as you do another little piece, you're going to feel great and up again. It's the demon. It's just entered you. And now it controls you. Don't let it happen to you. I'm a new person. Yes, I am. I have God in my life, and that's who controls my will every single fucking day, bro. And I'm gonna play. I got something coming for you guys, something real nice, bro. I got a members only video that I'm gonna play for you tonight. It's gonna go up tomorrow at 12 o'clock, but I want to play you some of it now so that you can get a little glimpse at the video, because bro, it's one of the best interviews I've ever done. It's my favorite fucking interview, bro. Bobby, this is the real Bobby, bro. I got so much respect for this man now, bro. Like I did not know how smart he was, or just like he's just a fucking realized dude, bro. And just doing his interview, like I dug into him. I didn't let him, like at first I went real easy. I was like, we're gonna I felt myself getting that rut of just trying to be nice. And then I was like, you know what? Fuck this, bro. I want to get the real Bobby, bro. So I started trying to get under his skin, asking him those questions that you don't want to answer, but they're the real questions. That's the grit right there, right? The true grit. So I'm gonna play you a little piece of it after I get to these things. Yeah, that orange taste, bro. Oh man, bro. The first couple times I put toothpaste in my mouth, so I didn't like it takes away the taste in your throat. The Dizzy Hippo, that's a crazy ass name right there, bro. Yeah, bro, like drinking is just as bad as a fucking drug as any other drug, bro. Like it's probably worse actually, because it'll make you act crazier than anything. Like when I was getting drunk, like I'd rip the TV off the shelf and throw it on the floor. So I'm mad, walking around with my underwear on backwards. Like I was a wild Indian. My mother used to call me a wild Indian. Like wrecked off the 16th. Fact, bro. 16th is all you need, man. You get on that shit and it's over, bro. As soon as you do that first piece, you're like, wow, that shit took away my pain. Yeah, honestly, heroin, bro. The thing is, I don't agree with that. I think heroin should come back. Fuck fentanyl. Fentanyl is killing people and doing weird things to their necks. They got bent neckers. That's what they're called, bent neckers. Like they're all over the place now. Um, Hey, what's up, Anthony? How you doing, man? Tell them to come watch my live, share my videos, and contribute to the cause, bro. Because that's what this is all about, bro. Anybody who's hit that like button, subscribes to my channel, runs my videos through. I appreciate everything that you guys do for me, bro. Fact. This is the video of Bobby. I did it. I have a membership at the studio. So for now on, I'll be doing most of my any real good interviews that I have. I'm doing them there. I do it with my own setup. I do all the editing, everything myself. It's just Bobby got me a membership to the studio, and so now I use the studio, but I got my own setup, and I do the different colors on the back wall. Like my color is gonna be red. Nothing to do with any gang shit. It's just that's my favorite color, and I feel like it implies the aggression that I carry around with me, and that's how I feel, bro. But let me play you some of this video, man. You guys are gonna really love it. This is just part of it. Like I'm gonna play you some towards the end. I want you guys to want to watch it. I'll play you 10 minutes of it.
Stronger, someone with a worse life than you, somebody, and a lot of people, some people have it better, but everything happens for a reason. And I feel like some people are the chosen ones that have to go through the fire, and because it's usually the people that go through the fire that end up with these great stories and these legacies, and really leave a lasting impact on people, right? Nobody wants to hear about the hero that everything's good, right? Usually the hero gotta go, has a villain or has to go through trials and tribulations and come on it the other side. It's like the perseverance part of it, and it's the seeing people come from nothing and becoming everything. Like 50 Cent, that dude, like that dude been shot. He was shot 9 times. People wanted to kill him. All this stuff. And look where he's at. He's one of the biggest rappers of all time, and now he's doing like movies and TV shows. And it's like, if coming from where he comes from, Southside Jamaica, Queens, I'm sure a white dude from East Cambridge, you know what I'm saying, could do all right, bro. If he could come from where he comes from, and even people like Francis Ngannou, who came from Cameroon, a whole nother continent, and had to like sneak out of there to Europe to fight there and find, you know what I mean? Like those are the stories that are like, it's so inspirational to me, and it's just I really look up to those types of stories.
Yeah, man. So that's where you get your inspiration from.
Yeah, absolutely. It's just seeing other people what they're able to go through and overcome. The real people, you see it in the movies, but when you see it in real life, you can see it. You can see it a lot of times in people's eyes too, that they've been through some stuff.
What do you think? Like, when you have like one of them moments where you're like, man, fuck everything, bro. Like, fuck my life. Fuck this dude in front of me. Fuck Maddie because I hate Maddie. Right? I can't do this no more, bro. Fuck this shit, bro. What like, have you ever reached that point?
Sometimes, yeah. And you know what I think of? I think of this stupid friggin' commercial. Forget, but it says, "Don't make the future you hate you." You know what I mean? With the stupid jingle and all of that. But I was like, that's so deep though, because it's like, if I pick up whatever, if I pick up this drink, or if I do this, if I just, whatever the decision may be, punch this guy in the face. You know what I mean? The future me that's sitting in the jail cell is like, what was wrong with you? You know what I mean?
Wow.
So it's usually about the delayed gratification, and what's usually easy doesn't really bear fruit. It's usually the difficult things is the right thing to do.
I mean, I see now, like, that you got some deep thinking going on right in your head, bro. Right, but at one point you were selling drugs and carrying weapons and doing whatever else. Like, what the fuck were you thinking then, bro? And how did you get to this point? Right now, this Bobby.
Right, yeah. So I guess just having my eyes opened and I was just, I think it was just not really having that like any really positive role models. You know what I mean? And even amongst my friend group, a lot of the dudes I looked up to were the dudes that were getting arrested and selling drugs and beating people up. And I was like, oh, that's how you get respect. That's how people, that's how you get the girls. You got to dress nice or whatever. So to dress nice, get the nice sneakers. For me, growing up on welfare, Section 8 and all that, it wasn't like, my mom made sure we had stuff, but it wasn't like the freshest. There wasn't new kicks every week. You know what I mean? A pair of kicks, we had to make them last. So I wanted to be like, oh, a new pair of sneakers come out. I like them. I want them. So I started getting into that. But even that, man, even like before my house got raided, man, it was just like internally, I'm like, what am I, it's all fun and games when you're a teenager, high school. But then it's like, I graduated high school. I had no plan. What's next? I'm just going to hustle. You know what I mean? So even I just started internally thinking about these type of things. But it was like, I'm already kind of knee deep in stuff. When my house got raided, the second and subsequent offense, that's what I went upstate for. I just got an apartment with my brother, so I had no job. So I'm not gonna just stop and try to get a job. But I think the mind shift was starting to change then, even at that age, because I remember something like, what am I really doing? And second guessing it. And I think everything happens for a reason. I think I was meant, to go away and do a little bit of time. And I just got to really look at it like that. Like the reasons may be beyond us, but everything happens for a reason.
So when you're sitting there in the prison cell, was that your thinking? Like, oh, this is meant to be.
I would know.
I'm so glad you're
my thinking was, man, I'm done with all this stuff. And this was week one. that was all, you know what I mean? Like I was ready to probably get released and change my life around then. But I say that, but it's easy to say that. If I were to got released, I don't know. I was just kind of, honestly, I was grateful because things could have been worse. Things could have been worse. The amount I got caught with was little compared to the amount that I usually had on me at my house. Literally the day before they raided my house, I gave my friend a bunch of stuff. Like, I don't know, just something feels, I got posted not too long before by the cops, didn't have nothing on me, just money. You know what I mean? Like I had the feeling and it was just like the day before, that's what made me think like, all right, I was meant to get this. I wasn't meant to get trafficking.
Right.
And go away for over a decade or whatever it may have been. You know what I mean? But these little, that's how I kind of looked at it. Like, it definitely could have been a lot worse.
Taking the good with the bad.
Yeah, I just, it was a non-violent, you know what I mean? Non-violent distribution, class B, second and subsequent offense.
that was nonviolent, right? But was there ever a time in your life where you were violent? You had
A lot of my county shit was
Boom. So that's it right there, bro. That's all I'm gonna show tonight. I mean, there's so many more. Like we get into Millie's and how he grew up in the Cambridge area, and him claiming the hood and all this shit, and mad different ill things, bro. That's just like, I feel like that wasn't even the best part. Like there's so many great parts of that interview, bro. Like dynamic, extremely fucking deep, bro. Like there's some parts of that interview that blew my mind, bro. Like I put the heat on Bobby, bro. I tried to get under his skin and I drilled him with questions and shit like that and tried to get him uncomfortable. And he came with the fire, bro. So yeah, bro. Thank you, bro. Thank you guys for everybody who support me, man. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, share my videos, and show me what time it is with yous. And I appreciate everybody for showing up, man, tonight. W number out.